Phillies take 2 out of 3. We get an NFL schedule release this week. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philadelphia. I just want to let everybody know sugar is a condiment. Just wanted to put that out there.
Like salt and pepper?
Well, yeah, because it's like, I went to the store this weekend, right? And I was like trying to find some sugar. So I went in the condiment aisle, like with the ketchup, mustard, relish, all that other good stuff.
But it's probably with the sweets and the
baking.
It
it wasn't in there. But I'm like, it's a condiment. Like sugar's a condiment. So it should have been in the condiment aisle.
But it's probably more for cooking than pouring on top of your food,
but
right?
when you go to a restaurant and you ask for condiments and they give you that little carousel, what's in that carousel?
There's sugar,
sweet and low,
because
salt
of
and pepper.
coffee. Because of coffee.
No, but it's a condiment.
Yeah. No,
he's right.
I'm not going to fight this one. I'm just trying to play along.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm not going to fight this one.
No, because I'm walking through the aisle and I'm looking for I'm in the condiment because it's an aisle that says condiments. And when I walked in the aisle, I'm like, okay, so where's the sugar?
Tells me the diner culture and grocery store culture.
They ain't on the same page,
not,
man. They need to get on the same page.
You know what? I think that's for everyone around here. We all need to get on the same page. All right, lots to get into today. And I was thinking, last week we talked about Vic Fangio's press conference last week and the defense and what we expected. But we didn't really get to spend much time, Hugh, on Kellen Moore and what he had to say. And I want to get to some of what Kellen Moore said, really specifically what it means for Jalen Hurts, who will go on another coordinator this year. And we hope Kellen Moore could get him back to playing like a great quarterback. Could we hear something that was said on this station recently by Howard Eskin about Jalen Hurts? Because, we talked about the offense last year, why it didn't live up to the billing, why they couldn't, attack a blitz, why they couldn't figure this whole thing out. Listen to what Howard said, and then we'll let you hear Kellen Moore's take on Hurts and his responsibility, because what Howard said last week really makes you wonder about the issue with the Eagles' offense last year.
Howard, do you think Jalen was more culpable at down the stretch in 2023 than Hurts? Because than Sirianni. Yeah, I thought as bad as Sirianni was, I thought Jalen was a bigger problem.
Yes. He didn't do a good job of making reads. I was told that, and Kelsey, and they're going to obviously miss him, but I'm not bringing it because they're going to miss him. Yep. Kelsey would point out where the blitzes were coming from. He would give him the signals, and yet he still didn't recognize it. I would say, I'll say many times, not most of the time, whatever. Many times, he still didn't recognize that.
So saying Jalen Hurts didn't recognize what he had to recognize last year, that's certainly concerning and certainly something that has to be fixed. Kellen Moore last week, his first press conference, an Eagles coordinator, talked about the power he may give his quarterback to change plays.
Yeah, ultimately they have a front view seat at this thing, and so we want to give the QB tools and the ability to make the adjustments necessary at the line of scrimmage, while also trying to keep it as clean and concise so he can play fast. And so ultimately, we want them to have the ability to make the adjustments necessary, but we can't dilute it to the point that he's got $500 million things that he can potentially do at the line of scrimmage, and now we're not all on the same page. And so a lot of times the QB knows what it is, but it's also about making sure all 11 are tied to what those adjustments are. And so Jalen's been phenomenal. I'm excited about building that process with him.
Well, the bottom line is this. Jalen Hurts has to play better this year. I think we all would say that, right? Than he played last year. But here's my question and my concern and my just thought process on all this. I think we're setting the bar very high for Jalen Hurts. We're setting the bar very high. I feel like there's a lot of people out there, Hugh, and you may be among them, that expect him to play once again like a top 5 quarterback, which I thought he did 2 years ago. 2022, Jalen Hurts, I thought he was the second best quarterback in pro football, only behind Patrick Mahomes. Last year, he wasn't. And I think about this year, what's coming up here, and I think, all right, new coordinator. He has spoken in the past about, it takes him time with a new coordinator. He likes continuity.
Yeah.
Right now he's got to learn a whole new verbiage and coordinator and signals and all that kind of stuff. So it's a new coordinator. He also lost a Hall of Fame center. We talked all year last year they couldn't go up against the blitz. Now they lost a Hall of Fame center. So new coordinator, Hall of Fame center walking out the door. The offense isn't that much different. They subbed out DeAndre Swift, who had a nice year, for Barkley, who may be more talented but isn't necessarily more productive. In the 4 years they've both been in the league, both running backs, pretty similar production. Hugh, I'll just speak for myself on this. I see how you feel. I don't expect Hurts to go back to being a top 5 quarterback. I expect him to be better. I expect him to be good because I think he's a good quarterback. But I look at his 3 years in the NFL as a starter. 87.2 passer rating, 101.5 passer rating, 89.1. In 2 of the 3 years, he's not been a top 5 quarterback. I need to see it to believe it again. I don't expect it, Hugh. I hope it, but I don't expect top 5.
I do. And you know what's funny? I was with my son yesterday, right? And so, every time I see my son, give me 5 push-ups. Now, he doesn't do them right. but just to try to get him to do it. So yesterday he was like, well, I want to do some sit-ups. So I was like, okay, do sit-ups. And so he started to do them, and he said they were hard. And I told him, I said, hey, man, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's the way that I feel about Jalen Hurts. If it's easy, everybody would do it. And not only that, Joe, he's done it before. You talk about in his 3 years here, he's done it in 1 year. So the bar has been raised. The bar has been set. And when you talk about all the bravado, the rhetoric that he came in with, talking about the main thing, I wouldn't expect anything less from Jalen than greatness. I mean, because that's the bar that he set for himself when he came to this team and when they gave him $250 million. So I think Kellen Moore's job is to make sure that he understands how Jalen processes information and put him in the best possible position to be successful. Now, that's probably going to take a little bit of time. I give you that. But it better be on point before the season starts, because ain't nobody trying to hear – the fact that, this is a new offense or whatever. Ain't nobody trying to hear that, man. We trying to win Super Bowls around here. So do whatever you got to do to be prepared for the season to start. What'd you say? The season start, what, 2, 3, 4 months?
What are we in? A little bit less than 4 months away. Yeah.
A little bit math early in the morning.
Well, training camp be here before you know.
Yeah, but that's my point. Do what you have to do. $250 million, to me, has given you enough time to figure out the problems to the test. Like, you got, 3 months, 4 months before the season starts? You better be on the same page as the offensive coordinator in order for this thing to be successful, because let me tell you what's going to happen when the season starts. If this team gets off to a slow start, everything that goes wrong, everything that if it doesn't go well and this offense doesn't score a lot of points, guess who they're looking at? They're looking at you.
I get it.
They're looking at you.
I get, and look, I expect Jalen to bounce back and be better than he was last year. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a good quarterback. I've believed that from day one. But top 5 is a very high level. He better be top 5.
He better.
But what if he's just not top 5?
He has to be, Joe. When you talk about Jalen, to me, when you look at what he's accomplished in a short period of time, I would say right now he's top 7. So to move up 2 to 3 spots, that should be a no-brainer for him.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because, we could look at the names, right? You could try to sometimes I think we lose track of how – we do this in the NBA with superstars. We do it in the NFL. How many good quarterbacks there are, right? Like, to be top 5 means you have to outplay 27 of the 32 quarterbacks. You got to be in that mix of the elite of elite. And we already know one name that's going to be in there, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so then you start thinking about the other guys that are in this mix, right? Josh Allen's in this mix. Joe Burrow, if he could be healthy, is in this mix. Lamar just won an MVP, has won 2 of them. Dak outplayed Jalen last year. C.J. Stroud is on the rise. Brock Purdy, and I don't want to do a Brock Purdy debate, but he plays the position very well, right? He puts up huge numbers.
Yeah.
So we probably should expect to do that again. And here's the reality of Jalen Hurts, okay? In his career, 3 years as starter, he has a 92.5 passer rating, right? That includes 2022, 2023, 2024. So that's kind of his, when you add it all together, 92.5. That would have been good enough last year to be 15th in the NFL in passer rating. What he's been is closer to 10 than it is 5. It's closer to good than it is great. I guess I'm not setting the bar super, super high, because I just want him to be good. I just think if he's good, the Eagles will be fine. This top 5 expectation, man, that's a lot.
I tell you, when I look at Jalen, and I don't know what your top 5 is, and I don't know what Kyle's top 5 is, or anybody out there is listening, but I feel comfortable in saying that Patrick Mahomes is probably number 1.
Yeah, if it's not in your top 5, you're silly.
Yeah, and anybody that you put in after that, I would say, for the most part, Jalen has accomplished more in a short period of time. And, we had a debate this morning. We were talking about, because I said he's probably better than Lamar, and you brought up the fact Lamar got 2 MVPs and all this stuff, which you're correct. But as far as getting this team to the promised land, Jalen's done that. Jalen's gotten this team to the Super Bowl. Didn't win it, but he's gotten them there. And he's shown flashes. And on top of that, when you look at the offense that they've amassed for Jalen Hurts, he should be. He should be. Like, you said, you talked about it earlier, you didn't want to get into the debate. The reason why Brock Purdy is number 2 on that list.
Got great weapons,
yes.
Great coach. But he also has continuity with his coach.
Yes.
He has to learn a new system.
And Brock Purdy learned that system. Granted, he was in it and he wasn't playing, but when they plugged him in, he thrived.
He did.
You need to, as a coach, figure out, to me, how your player learns, and put him in position immediately to be successful. Now, it's going to be a lot of this offense that changes and evolves as the season progresses. But I think in the beginning, initially, you need to go into the games with stuff that Jalen's comfortable with for he can have success, and then you build off of that, Joe. And that's how I kind of see this thing going. Now, the biggest thing I think for quarterbacks and the offensive weapons that we have, because I don't know what Coach Moore's terminology is. Some of that stuff is going to be similar. Some of it's going to be different. That's the biggest thing when I think about this offense, and the biggest hurdle or the obstacle that Jalen has to get past is learning the terminology and things of that. And if we throw motion in there, give him motion and stuff that's easy enough for him to accomplish in a smaller sample size.
Yeah.
So I expect that from him. I expect him to be a top 5 quarterback.
Well, I think it's a big expectation. 215-592-9494. That's how you hop in. Do you expect Jalen Hurts to be a top 5 quarterback this year under the tutelage now of Kellen Moore? Hugh does. I don't, because I just think the bar is too high. I mean, I don't think he's done that once out of 3 years. The other 2 years he's been more close to good than great. That's what I'm thinking. And I reject this notion that they're a better offense. I don't think they are. Their offensive line lost a Hall of Fame center. They lost a Hall of Famer. And maybe I'm crazy on this. I don't think I'm not crazy on the Kelsey thing. They lost a Hall of Fame center.
No, you definitely lost.
The upgrade at running back, in name, sure. In production the last 4 years, no. Saquon Barkley has less yards from scrimmage. He has less rushing yards. He has less receiving yards. He has less yards per carry the last 4 years than DeAndre Swift. Like, sure, he could be better because his pedigree and his physical stature says he could. But he hasn't outproduced DeAndre Swift. Like, maybe it's an upgrade, but this idea that it's going to make Jalen Hurts a lot better, I don't think so.